Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
I am good, thanks. The weather is a bit miserable, but otherwise I'm really good. How are
Hello,
you?
autumn. Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I'm sort of going slightly stir crazy about autumn, and suddenly it just cooled down, and now all the jumpers are out.
I know the jumpers are out. I feel like
Yeah.
we've not really had a summer,
Yeah, still
not
waiting
a
for
proper
that.
one. Still waiting for
No,
that summer.
definitely.
Mm.
How was your super critter?
My super critter is great. Bramble's just actually chilling by my side here, so she might jump up later, but she is good. We went for a great big walk in the rain this weekend, just embraced it. And
Nice.
yeah, how's your super critter? How's
So my
Milday?
super critter is not with me right now. He's back at my house because I'm not at my house. So I'm for 3 months not there, but I'll be there. I still go back and I look after him, and he comes back and talks to me. So very much miss him. So I hope that Bramble shows her face.
Yes, that would be nice. Also, I just feel like I should give a little disclaimer that at this very moment, out of this very window, I can see someone's feet. Now, I'm on the first floor, so that's not what you should be seeing, but we've got some builders fixing our roof. Just want to make sure that I've said that in case there's any hammering. We'll just sort of embrace that as the character, the quirky character of the show, shall we?
Yeah, I would like to also just say, there's a real life podcast. We don't cut or edit anything. So
Nope.
we have to have these disclaimers. And thank you for bearing with us.
Yeah. What you see is what you get. Oh no, the
Literally.
guy just looked in. Okay, this is great. Shall we get started?
I think we should, because otherwise we're just chatting.
Cool. Well, welcome back. Our very first full episode of Inbox Heroes.
Excited.
Excited. Sarah and Maret doing the email things. Um, I mean, Sarah, do you think there's any particular big updates in email marketing right now?
I don't know. I think there's been a bit of a hoo-ha about Apple's new iOS 15 update and the impact it's been having on email marketers and how users are being protected. So that's actually today's episode, an Apple a day, all about the iOS 15 update. And obviously at this stage, there's not really enough data across the industry to come to full
To have
conclusions. So it's a bit of a
absolutely.
preview, really.
It is, however, iOS 15 has gone live and
Mm-hmm.
it's been a while coming. One thing that I think is really good before we go into sort of the practicalities of it is how Apple's been very upfront about communicating this.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've started communicating this quite a few months ago,
I think
really.
about 6 months ahead of the
Mm,
actual update.
yeah. So there's been plenty of time for us email marketers to panic, to prepare, and to get ready, really. So Sarah, you have an iPhone.
I
You are
do.
you're bought into the Apple suite, aren't you?
For my
You've got an
personal
iPad.
use, yes. Yeah.
Yes. So you've seen this then.
Yeah, these are my actual screenshots for when it happened. So,
Oh, when it happened.
oh. So full disclosure from me as well, because I've been really busy this summer, actually, these news have completely bypassed me. I had no
Mm,
clue this was coming up. So when the news came up from sort of a user side that this would be available, I was like, oh. And then I looked on good old Twitter and found that people were getting a little bit freaked out by it and a bit scared. And I likened it to what happened when GDPR came in, right?
hmm.
So everybody
Yeah.
had a slight freak out. And I think this will be a little bit similar. In the end, it'll be for our betterment, I think. But, we'll see in
Yeah.
the pros and cons. But from a user's point, what it actually is that when you use the Apple Mail app on your Apple device, in which you can link different inboxes,
Hmm.
you will be asked, hey, do you want to protect your identity? If you want to
Hmm.
do that, then Apple goes into explaining at good length, I feel, with using really friendly language so people understand, that they would hide their IP address and
Mhm.
send fake open data to the email sender. Now,
So
that
are
has
they
people
sending fake data, as in
basically, yeah.
fake opens and fake
Yeah.
non-opens?
Well, they will only always send an open. So
Okay.
it will always be positive, but you won't know whether it's real.
Real or not.
And
Okay.
for the user, this goes actually a little bit further, because as part of that, you also get something that's hide my email, where a
Mhm.
fake email will be created that is linked to your account, but it'll be an iCloud email with, you know, letters and numbers, and you can use that as well to sign up to things. So there is sort of a two-parter to this, really, and this is more about the actual what it will do to our open rates and how we can react to it. But from a user's point, I have to say I absolutely agree with it. If you don't want to be tracked, you should have the right not to be tracked.
That is absolutely true. So is when you add an inbox to your Apple Mail, will they ask this for each email?
Oh, interestingly enough, no. It will be for all inboxes added to that email.
Okay, so it's on that device. If you've ticked this, it will count for every different email address, any inbox that you've linked.
Correct.
These are the settings. Okay, cool. I know you mentioned hide my email. I think I will double check it, but I'm pretty sure that's within, like you said, iCloud Plus, and it's actually a paid feature.
Yeah,
so I
it is
think
a
it's
paid feature.
it's only actually the privacy protection, so hiding your IP address, which is available to all Apple users.
That's correct. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, because I also heard about there being like a VPN-like private feature, which is for your subscriptions, etc. Which might not be specifically for email marketing, but it is another way that Apple is protecting their users.
And also, it's really important to say that Apple are just the first ones to clamp down, really, on this. There will be more coming.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, for sure. So yeah, you mentioned this pros and cons list. Let's check it out.
Oh yes, I do like a good list.
I love a good list. So what you've just said about, it's essentially about the privacy for the user, a GDPR catch up, really, isn't it? So tech companies have been clamping down on privacy for the user generally. There is more and more analytics companies that offer private analytics. So without any user data. We know that Chrome has announced that they won't be tracking third-party cookies anymore. There's a lot in the pipeline. I suppose this is the first update that specifically impacts marketing, email marketing, right?
I think so, yeah. I think since GDPR, this is the next sort of biggest thing that's come in.
Yeah, but I think where GDPR still put the onus on the company, on the sellers, you should only keep data if you are meant to be keeping data, which I'm sure everyone is doing.
Absolutely.
This actually gives the power to the user to say, I don't want to be tracked.
Yeah, and in a real easily accessible way. So you don't need to have any extra, apps or plugins that keep tracking from happening. So this is then for the masses and not just for the really techie people that know their stuff.
Amazing. So yeah, it's completely native in the Apple Mail app, isn't it? Nice.
Yeah.
So as a con then, I'm going to combine these 2 points. Open rate as a KPI is lost, which is not, is that, we put it down like that as a con, but is that completely true?
I think open rates are usually, from my point of view, across the industry used as a little bit of a vanity metric. Oh, look at all of our opens. And
look
at it. And it tends to be the bigger number, right? Because you need to open something in order to click through to something, but really if you don't even bother opening it, then was your subject line good enough? It's like the first access to the email, but what does it really say?
Yeah, exactly. It means nothing in the way of engagement, right? Mm-hmm. Our second pro, this is what we should be looking at, is we can still see clicks, we can still see click through, we can still see traffic to the website, we can still see revenue through email marketing in our analytics software. So there's a lot more things that we can and actually should be focusing on as email marketers.
Yeah, really. I mean, as a con, you've got the email marketers might be worried regarding ROI and proving their return on investment, but really because there's only one element being taken out of the chain of events, i.e. the open. And it's not even that drastic because, for example, some email providers have started splitting up their KPIs into trackable and untrackable opens. So the not trackable opens are then attributed to Apple Mail, and they have a little asterisk there that will explain to you why, which is also what we're talking about now. And the main open rate still remains the main open rate. So really, the amount of Apple Mail users there are out there will be a lot lower, most likely, than other mail clients.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about rethinking what we should focus on and what we should be reporting on, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we were talking about this earlier, and you actually said something really interesting that I hadn't thought about. People who may have opened an email with using the Apple Mail app might then go on into the browser and open the same email using Gmail.
Yeah. Don't we all know that unique opens are always so much lower? And that's because people open the same email potentially across devices.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you get an email from a clothing brand or something, you see something on your phone or on your device where you're like, hey, do you know what? I'm going to come back to that later because I want to buy, I don't know, those biscuits for my dog.
From a clothing brand, good.
Well, yeah, maybe. Well, maybe I want to buy a new jumper. Autumn is coming.
Yeah, maybe that. Yes.
Yeah, I think the cons where we're talking about database health and kind of bringing deliverability into that is one that concerns me. I think you, out of everyone, Sarah, knows that I'm a very big advocate of keeping your lists small and engaged. So this is one where I could see some potential challenges, ways where we'll have to learn how it will actually work and how we could manage with this tracking being gone, because how can we keep our database healthy and full of people that do engage and want to hear from us if we don't actually know whether the contact is active or not?
Absolutely. And I think in prep, you also gave the example of some newsletters are not about the click-through. They are just about the actual newsletter itself. And there it becomes really difficult. If you've got any automation set up that use opens as a starting block, those I would right now revisit and see whether you can restructure that exact workflow and see whether you can actually re-engineer it so it doesn't rely on open rates, because that will potentially make database health really difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. But then I guess moving back to the pros list, it is such a good opportunity in the same way, to be honest, that GDPR was a good opportunity to understand who of your massive database actually wants to hear from you, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, those contacts, we know we've got a 20 to 30% churn rate, right? We know we lose that many customers, but some of them might have never wanted to really hear from us in the first place. So why keep them on? Why keep them hostage instead of actually engaging them?
Exactly, and use the opportunity to talk to your contacts, talk to your audience, talk to your people, and get to know them better. This is such a good opportunity to not just know, okay, these people want to hear from me, but also actually learn more about them. Do you
Yeah.
want to set up, different subscription types? Do you want to learn your contacts' date of birth? There's so many things you can do to make your conversation so much more personal.
Absolutely. And I think the worst kind of email marketing is mediocre email marketing, because that's the sort of, I'm just bobbing along. I'm not doing anything really interesting. I'm not really, super bad about stuff, but I'm just bobbing along. Really, there's a reason. There's a reason why email is still the highest performing sales channel across everywhere. You might be spending a lot in Google Ads. You might be spending a lot across social media, pushing PPC, etc. Email still has the best conversion rates. Because it's about relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think this is opportunity for great email marketing. For great email marketeers to get to know their people better and build that community.
Exactly. And if you don't feel you're there yet, just do a little bit of research and step by step implement some changes and see how your email contacts are reacting to it. And don't be afraid of the unsubscribe, because they tell you clearly what they want.
Yeah. Nice.
It's super smooth, isn't it?
So shall we talk about our very first top of the inbox? So top of the inbox is one of our segments where we chat about newsletters that we love, that we often open, that we really enjoy reading. And I had the chance to introduce our very first top of the inbox, and I've gone for Flow State. Now this probably looks like a really simple email address, but it still gets our gold star. So Flow State is a newsletter which gets sent pretty much every working day to help you get into the flow. So that's the whole point of it, which is amazing. So they give you a little bit of blurb about the artist and then send you to the specific album on whatever platform you listen to your music, basically. Mm-hmm. So they make it short, they make it sweet, they make it easy. And what I really like, besides the simple design and accessibility, because it's all text, you can't pretty much, except for that really tiny banner down here, there's nothing you can really miss about it. But what I love is that they invite you to rate the music you got that day. That doesn't mean you're unsubscribed. They literally just ask a few more questions based on how you've rated it. And I don't know, presumably that might influence them in the future. Maybe if an artist gets a lot of positive reviews, they'll feature them more often. And if they don't get such great reviews, maybe they don't get featured anymore.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. I'm really liking it.
Yeah, it just feels mega easy and still engaging. So that's why it's the top of the inbox for me. And I actually listen to a lot of the music they send over.
Wonderful. I'm tempted to subscribe. Do I also see a little bit of a sponsor at the top of the email?
There is a sponsor, but do you think it's really in your face?
No, not at all. I had to sort of squint and see, and I go, oh, okay, I think that's fair enough. Because it looks all the same and in the similar style, but that's the only big CTA button that we see there. So in a way, it is quite prominent without being in your face.
Yeah, I think they've done it clever by making the CTA the same color as the CTA text, the hyperlink text. But yeah, so they do actually have sponsorships. I think you can get a 3-day sponsorship at a time, but they do vet the services that they that they push. So
overall, it's really controlled, and I guess How long have you been subscribing to them?
Oh, I've been subscribed to them for, well, nearly a year, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and yeah, what I like is it's super easygoing. The sponsorship helps them, because obviously sending out an email is free. So I suppose it helps them at least break even. Yeah, love it.
Oh, you mean sending an email isn't free, right?
Sending an email isn't free, but what I mean
Yeah.
is we don't pay to
Oh, yes.
receive the
Oh, of
email.
course. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Because there is a cost to it, and we will get into that in a later episode.
Yes, absolutely. So next then.
See, and this is why I did my super slick intro, because I thought this was the next point. And I felt very smug. And then was like, oh no, top of the box first.
Oh no, but that's so
no.
cool. The next one is why we unsubscribe. Sarah, over to you.
So why we unsubscribe is one of our segments. So as you'll see today, we have like 3 things we basically talk about. A couple of them will be segments like this. So why we unsubscribe is the segment where we give you an example of a newsletter we have recently unsubscribed to. And today we're going into the number 1 reason why people unsubscribe. And let's just take a little bit of a guess of why that is. I would say, Marette, what do you think?
Oh, inbox zero is something that I strive for, but this is the higher number is more like what my inbox looks like.
30,000, really?
Maybe not quite 30,000.
Yeah. And if you're listening to us on a podcast streaming platform, we're basically having a look at a GIF of lots of numbers going up in terms of unread emails. So to say that the number 1 reason people unsubscribe is receiving too many emails is probably correct. Which brings me to my why I unsubscribe this week, because I professionally unsubscribe from stuff as well as I subscribe. So this is Saatchi Art. I love art. I love looking at art. But they have recently stepped up the frequency of the emails so much that I cannot support that any longer. So there is examples in there from trending artists this week. First of all, you don't buy art every week. It's not a small purchase. It's not a frequent purchase. It's not like your bread and butter.
I was going to say, it's not like you go to the supermarket and go, I know what I'll get.
Correct. You only have a limited amount of wall space. There's many different reasons not to buy an artwork every week, although I would love it. But I subscribe to them because I quite like looking at the art. I'm like, oh, look at that. This looks nice. I might click through, might look at it. I have previously purchased from them as well. So it's not like, I've just randomly signed up to them because I like art, although I think that's perfectly fine too. Anywho, too many emails is my problem. I go through to unsubscribe. The email preferences let me say which newsletter I would like to subscribe to, but don't give me an option of frequency. And that's why I'll unsubscribe, because really, Saatchi Art, I want to hear from you, but maybe once a month. Let's be friends once a month, but not every week or several times a week. That is just, I can't.
No, and it's odd that they've got trending this week and then new this week. So are the new ones not trending?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot, isn't it? So yeah, please add something to your email preference center that lets people just weed out the frequency.
So I actually have a really good example, which was a super last minute addition to this show, because I got it this afternoon and I was like, yes. So there are ways of doing this, and we will go into this way more over the next few episodes. But email preferences give your audience, your database, your contacts the opportunity to decide what they want. So I got an email today where they are literally asking me, are we emailing too much? In the email itself, they've basically said, look, we've launched several initiatives this year. As a result, we've been sending more and more emails. What we're trying to do is consolidate those. So please help us out. This is our census, where we ask you how you would like to receive the information that we send out. And literally what they're saying is, we do not want to overload your inbox, but we do want to stay connected. And I think that is such a great way of fixing this problem.
I've got a goosebump moment there. Really, I got goosebumps. You know, we don't want to overload your inbox, but we do want to stay connected to you and your business.
So strong.
Just be honest.
Yeah.
I think, that could also easily be top of the box, to be fair. That is a really good example of how to do it right. And it's so easy to do it right. And it's easy to implement those things. But even just knowing about them is the first step, I think, in the right direction.
Absolutely. I feel
Which is why we're here.
Which is why we're here. I mean, Sarah, I'm going to come out of it.
Oh, we're big now. Okay.
That was our first episode, full episode. One thing I've learned, don't tell anyone, but I say absolutely quite a lot. I'm going to work on not saying that so much next episode, I think.
Okay. What have I learned? I have learned that I should actually pay attention to the actual itinerary of our episode and like what comes when, and not be really smug about a really slick like move over to a different segment, and then it's a completely other segment that I wasn't being super smooth about, and then failing at that. Anyway,
this was the first episode. We are still learning. We're loving that you are learning with us.
Absolutely.
Right? And we've got the show notes.
We do. You can find them on inbox-heroes.com.
Yes. And if you have any questions or any subjects that you'd like us to chat about, please let us know.
Yeah. Drop us an email, find us on socials, and we just say bye.